Hi there, budding butt kickers. We've done away the frills of the music and the intro, so now you're just down to the raw Rosie. Now, from continuing on from our last segment, did you get rid of the don't wants out of your language? Did you start to recognise where you commonly use this language repeatedly in saying all the things that you don't want happen, while you're actually keeping your focus half on what you really do want to happen? It's a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it? How did you go with the make-belief? Were you able to start identifying some of the common statements and language and words and emotions that come out of your mouth repeatedly that identify what your beliefs are, and therefore you are continually attracting more of the same back into your life? If you were able to start identifying them, were you able then to start rectifying, making that small change? The most important small change is eliminating that word but, our acronym for bloody useless thoughts, straight out of your sentence each and every time that you use it. Try having an argument with someone and don't use the word but. We'll see how you go on that one. I haven't met someone who can't. How did you go filling up your own energy state? Starting to feel good, deliberately, intentionally creating this state yourself. Focusing on your blueprint. Remember the return on investment? That you can either remember or recall, you can observe everything that's happening, or you can utilise your imagination. They all do create the same. Remember, our purpose is to identify where we use those buts. Once we've identified them, we can rectify them. We're also about identifying our ruts, which is repeating those useless thoughts, and identifying ways we get turned on, we get excited, we get hyped up, we turn on our creative juices so that we're turning on the flow of all the things that we do want, and we become attractive to that. And intention, I started the talk last time and I'm continuing it now. It was too much of a big meaty chunk to share in one whole piece. So I've broken it down, and the focus this time is how to use your intention via attention. Now, ideas and intentions are as inspiring as things. And our intentions are very important because our intentions become things. And you might say, hang on, Rosie, I didn't intend that, thinking of something you have in your life that you don't want. However, as I said previously, how much did you intend the exact opposite? Like when we get in our cars, for those of us that are fortunate to have cars, and drive to a location, how often is your mind actually on the process of I intend to arrive at my destination safely? If you think about this honestly, most of us are not even thinking about driving at all. It's an automatic process. In between some, I'll say, nightmare drivers that are actually talking on the phone, putting lipstick on, and not naming just women in this role play, because I've seen men trying to eat their breakfast in one hand, handle the mobile phone, as well as drive, and then scream at a person in a nearby car. Now that is not intending a result. So what was your intention on? Think about that in relation to what you want. You can take a moment, any moment will do, to specifically intend and then let go of it. You don't need to think any more of it. Like if you get in your car to drive from destination A to destination B, you don't need to continually keep thinking, I intend to get there safely. I intend to get there safely. Thinking at once is more than enough. You have created the blueprint, the pathway for which all the rest of how you then observe the road, how that you then observe other drivers and can see things before they happen, and therefore then observe opportunities and not let them pass you by, so that your intention of arriving safely can be fulfilled, as opposed to having had no specific intention and just getting happenstance or any result that does occur, which may end up being a car crash along the way. If you want health, if that is your intention, do you speak about it? Do you think about it? Do you act as if you already have it now? Now, yes, it is easy to act healthy when you feel healthy. The challenge is when you do not feel healthy, because your focus is on, guess what? It's on what you don't want. You're feeling miserable, you're feeling lousy, you're focused on exactly what you don't want. It's not a surprise then that this is energetically what you are then attracting more of. You may not get it in that moment because there is a time lag. In this dimension that we're living our lives in, we have matter, we have energy, we have space, and we have time. And from the moment we have a thought that is a thing that creates a result, there is an apparent time lag. So we don't see instantly that effect we then have in our life came from the cause of the actual thought. So then we give away our power by saying it came from somewhere else. For example, no, I was just around people that had the flu, so I caught it from them. Yet you will find there will be many other people that are around other people with the flu and do not get it. Yet you did. You may turn around and say, oh, it was just bad luck, in the wrong place at the wrong time. How come you were the one that was in the wrong place at the wrong time and not millions of other people that exist on this planet? You might just say, oh, it was just unfortunate, the luck of the draw. You might say the odds were against it. You can justify it, validate it, excuse it any way you want, and you give more power to your belief that you are a victim of circumstances as opposed to a deliberate creator of your destiny. So if you want it, you begin intending it. You intend it by what you speak about and what you think about, and by acting as if you have it when you don't. And that is the trick and the challenge. I'm not saying this is easy, and I can tell you I get caught up on this one all the time, and I'm constantly catching myself out. So I use it as a bit of a game, and we're playing a game with ourselves because we're unlearning the way we've been conditioned. And a good example to use, especially in this Western environment that a lot of us have been brought up in, with the exception of the Asian listeners that I have here, is that we're conditioned into thinking money doesn't grow on trees, you know, that you have to work hard to get results. And the emphasis is all on difficulty, on struggle, on stress. And so therefore this is to be applauded. What if you knew that this was not necessary for your results? What if you knew that you could have wealth, you could have health, you could have love, you could have happiness, and it didn't have to cost you personally in order to have those things? What if you were to adopt that mindset? Let's take this challenge on and see, because the beauty of this is we prove ourselves right all the time by whatever we do believe. So let's say that we truly believe this now, and we're going to put our attention on what we want. So if it's wealth, we're going to observe all the areas in our lives that we already do exhibit wealth, or that we already do have forms of love, or that we do have the opportunity to be happy. We start to observe these things. And it's funny that once you start focusing on it, all of a sudden you start seeing more things to be grateful. All of a sudden more things are crossing your path. There might be news articles, there might be stories friends are telling you of someone else's circumstance that makes you aware of how grateful you are of what you have. Your attention is shifted from not, oh, isn't that terrible, isn't that sad, isn't that bad? It shifts from an awareness that that's occurring there, but in your life right now, aren't you just so glad for the circumstances you currently have on? So that's the power and the difference between awareness and attention to create your intentions. Whatever your attention is on is like your call to the universe saying, yep, I'll have more of that. So if you're watching, which happened to me when I returned from Aceh after helping out after the tsunami there in Indonesia, the Boxing Day tsunami, where nearly 200,000 people were killed instantly. When I returned from helping there, I must say I was absolutely floored. The level of devastation left me questioning the world, questioning myself, questioning the point of even existing at all. I really did feel like that proverbial drop in a bucket in the ocean. And I started to feel that it didn't make a difference, that I didn't make a difference. I got lost in the depth of all the horror and the sadness, not what I experienced over there in Aceh. I was filled with joy and lightness and the gifts of gratitude that I received there in Aceh. This was after I returned, and I was watching it now all on television. I was picking up all the energy from everybody around. Their focus all was on victim status. Now, the people I met with in Aceh, they were not victims. They were powerful, powerful people that were putting into practice living. Now, I'm challenged to convey this in the sense of how I felt, so I can hope that energetically, as opposed to my words, you get the message here, that it's not our circumstances that are going to dictate as to whether we are powerful or powerless. These circumstances are often internal and they are reflected externally. So my attention when I came back, my focus was on all that was bad, and of course my energy spiraled downwards. So I was attracting more and more stuff in my life that made me feel bad, because I'd put out a call to the universe saying, yep, this is what I want, give me more of it. No, I didn't do it, we'll use that word intentionally or deliberately loosely. I did it without deliberately intending. I did it unconsciously, subconsciously. Because if I'd been conscious about it, I would have recognised that I needed to lighten up. I needed to let go. I needed to move back into living and being fully in my life and participating. The past had been and gone, but I was still attached to it. So what you're putting your focus on is also going to be dependent on how much energy or emotion, which is energy in motion, that you attach to it. That lets you know how long it's going to take for it to arrive in your circumstances, because the more frustration that we have, and everybody knows someone like this in their environment, if I'm not talking about you directly, who gets so frustrated, and then another thing happens that they get even more frustrated, and then another thing happens, and frustration and stress just begets more frustration and more stress. And you tell them to be calm, and it's like they're going to blow their top. It's like, what would you know about the problems that I have? However, someone that is serene, peaceful, and accepting begets more serenity, more peace, and more acceptance. It's a bit of a catch-22. We are the ones that determine our state originally, and then we can maintain that state. To go from frustration to acceptance is a big leap. And I'm a lazy person. I like to do the least and get the most. Hence, I work with the law of least effort, which tells me how I can intentionally create these states. So how do I stay peaceful amongst the rabble? I have awareness of what the rabble is. It doesn't mean we play ostriches and stick our head in the sand and go tra-la-la-la-la, not listening. We don't have to be ignorant of the world around us or what's happening. We have an awareness of it. We don't live it, or as I used terms before, buy into it. We then refocus. Having an awareness, we refocus, and what we refocus on is what we're giving our attention to. And this then is what will expand to give you more of into your life. So give no more of your mind space away to anything that you don't want. Now, intention starts with the letter I. And if you were to write that capital letter I, you would see clearly that it is actually a dash that is capped. And this is sometimes how I think of us living this existence at the moment, because when you go to a cemetery, as I've been called to do on many occasions, you'll see people's names are represented there, followed by their time here on this earth. So, you know, my father, for example, born 1919, dash to when he passed, and that was 2005. So that dash in the middle doesn't tell you anything about who this person was, what this person did, how they lived their life, or those they impacted upon. And it's capped either side by the date the person was born and the date the person died. Now, for me, when you write that capital letter I, that's how I see ourselves, or the ego. It symbolically is represented here as a dash with limits. However, I don't believe that we have limits. And phonetically, the word I is represented by the eye that you see with. And the eye is a transformer of light vibrations. When you look at anything, be it a flower in your garden, your eye will receive frequencies of electromagnetic radiation that then triggers chemical reactions in the rods and cones at the back of your eyes. As a result of these chemical changes in your retinas, electrical impulses are generated that eventually reach the visual cortex at the back of your brain via the optic nerve fibres. Now, the brain then basically performs a refraction or creates an image. And this image is generally one that has already been filed in your brain. And this image is then perceived as a reflection of what you are actually visually seeing. So you're not seeing the flower outside of you, it's actually inside of you. So this I is a window into you. So too, the I, or ego, is a transformer of vibrations into a perceived experience. This dash with limits, that I, can be expanded. And in this experience it will always be finite. As we are physically born, we will physically die. And it's representative of the physical limits that we may perceive here. However, the dash in the middle of those capped limits, that dash is not limited. That dash that is you, that is me, that is everyone and everything that we know that is animated here, that dash's potential is infinite. Absolutely infinite. If I asked you the question, who are you? What would your answer be? Would it be your name? Would it be that you are a mother, that you are a father, a wife, a brother? Would it be that you're a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, an artist, an athlete? Would it be that you are male or female, homosexual, heterosexual? Would it be that you're Australian, New Zealand, Asian, American? Would it be that you are fat, skinny, beautiful, ugly, short, tall? Would it be that you're nice, you're nasty, you're blonde, you're brunette? What words would you use? Do they really sum up you? Do any labels truly reveal you to you or another? Put yourself to this test and ask yourself, in a moment of quiet reflection where you won't be disturbed by anyone or anything else, in closing your eyes, taking yourself away from the world, ask yourself that question. Who am I? That dash with limits. Who am I? Find out more about that potential that desires and craves expansion and recognition. You are so much more. Now, my job, I took on a bit of a role that I decided for myself first and foremost to lighten up. And this would be my gift that I could give to the planet, because as I became lighter energetically, I created the space for others to become lighter. And that is part of my intention, to live my life with joy and fulfillment. So my focus is on what I see. This is my attention now. So get this bit. Allow no misunderstanding here. Just as well I'm a professional speaker. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, no misunderstanding here. It's the difference between attracting what you want or what you don't want. So intention is paramount. If what you see gets your goat, in other words, annoys you or frustrates or angers you, you've added your imagination to it, because now you've become a visionary of so many other horrors that could all happen. For example, if you've been, there's a payment that's due you that's delayed, or your spouse is delayed, or there's some outcome you're awaiting that's delayed, what's the first thing that you start thinking of or running through your mind? Is it the best possible scenario that could have happened that has delayed the payment, the spouse, or whatever the outcome may be? Or have you defaulted to that auto program of thinking the worst? If you have, it's not to beat yourself up. It's just to identify this is your automatic program. Now we've got some work to do. People started watching The Secret and got all excited and were running off to put things into practice thinking, great, now I've got my magic genie. I've just got to ask and I'll receive. Yes, that's an important step of the process. However, we're asking all the time. The difference is we don't see how we are asking because we've not discovered all the programs that we're running on. So the worst case scenario, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, is what they used to say. I tell you, if you can't think anything nice, occupy yourself with something that will refocus your thinking. Because this is where that language of get real interferes with our programs. Because what appears to be real energetically is not. Like we can look at the stars in the sky, and the stars that we see, they no longer exist. So we're believing in the past, what has been. The stars that actually are there, the light hasn't made it to us yet. So what is real is what we can't yet see. So the same as with manifesting your ideas, your intentions via your imagination, you may not see it yet here today. However, if you're buying into what you think is your reality, you're buying into the past, what has been. So until the next segment, keep your attention on what you do want. We're going to be working with focus on the next segment. That's part of the strategy for those that differ in getting what they want. Focus on upping the ante. This is using our energy in motion, our emotions, or using our feelings to get what we want. So until next time, where I focus on the law of least effort, my favourite topic, butt kicking best, and I'll see you soon.